All right, can everyone hear me all right? Here, just checking in. You should have some controls on your device to allow you to chat, and there should be a Q&A um, tab on your screen. So I have one person, well, I have a couple people here chatting with me. Here, if you're having trouble, just let me know. Well, you can't let me know if you can't chat. So um, this is my first time using Zoom in a webinar with multiple people chatting, so just bear with me a moment. But we will get our goal accomplished today, and that's to show you guys how to create your listing presentation. All right, so here we're going to walk through several different options you have to create a listing presentation from scratch for free. Of course, we're going to use Command. We're also going to use the tools that you have here in Realcomp. And these are the few that we're going to focus on mostly today. So if you guys are familiar with this screen, when you first log into Realcomp, most people do not click on these options here. One I like to use is down payment resource. When you have time, please feel free to click on that and see what it does for you. Also, the RPR is one that we're going to use today. And Cloud CMA is another option we're going to use. I'm also going to show you guys how to build out a presentation in CMA via Realcomp. As you can see over the years, I've used that as well. Sometimes I may use pages from one CMA because I like the design and combine it with another CMA that I'm using or presentation from another source as well. So we're going to get into that today. Does anybody on the webinar have a property that you would like us to use as an example? If so, just type it in the chat or the question. Just type it in as a question and we'll pull that property up and use that as an option. If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. And throughout the webinar, you can feel free to just add a property in and we'll use it as a test when we move on to the next source. So let's start with Cloud CMA. If you can see here again, this is when you first log into Realcomp and we have Cloud CMA. Just let me make sure this thing is recording. Okay. All right, so we're going to use Cloud CMA. You're going to click here. Once you come into Cloud CMA, you have several options. You have your CMA, your buyer tour, your property, and your flyers. So flyers are just simply, you come in here. I created one earlier, and you can just kind of see some designs. You'll just put in a property MLS number. I think I have this one saved from earlier. Just want to show you this here. All right. All right, so if you just want to create a property flyer, it gives you that option. There are some designs there that you can use. Now, one thing important about Cloud CMA, you want to make sure your profile is set up with your photos, your correct phone number, email address, and everything. And this is just a simple way to create a flyer. Now, with the same option here, we're going to go into building your presentation. But this is more or less just a CMA report, and there's going to be some options for you to add additional pages. Now, keep in mind, I'm promoting a free option. If you choose to buy some of their premium packages or things of that nature, it's up to you. So let's create a report. Here, you're just going to say Doe, and you put in your property address. So I'm just going to use the property that I just had here. So you can add a cover photo here. Maybe you already have a photo of the property from either a previous MLS listing, or you had a chance to take a photo of the property. You're going to put in the information here. They have an advanced information option here so that you can put in more details about the property. Most important thing is here. So you're going to allow them to automatically find listings near the subject property, and you're going to get at least 10 listings. You can go back 1 year, 6 months, and you decide based on the area and based on how many comps you want. And this is for your off-market listings. If you want to if you want to get more specific and have more details, you can limit this to how many bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and things of that nature. Or you can enter in MLS numbers of other properties that you would like to use in your CMA report. So for example, I'm just going to come here and I'm going to hit fetch listings. All right. So you can see it pulled up 3 actives, 2 pendings, 4 sold, and 1 withdrawn listing. Now I have an option to add this expired. They have some other properties here, a few expireds, and I can select which properties I want to add into my report. So I'm going to take out a few of these because they're not even in a range here. So I can detail this information. I can be selective on which listings, pending, active, and sold that I want to use. And again, as mentioned before, I can also input the MLS numbers of properties that I've handpicked to go into this report. So you can simply hit customize report. Well, I'm sorry. So you go here to the next customize section here. So you have an option to add additional pages to your report just by clicking on the buttons here, and you can add those to your presentation. So here, remember I mentioned that these are all your free options here. And if you click on these, for example, negotiating with buyers, this is just additional information that may be beneficial to your client. You want to build this out based on your client's personality, based on how you want to present during your listing presentation. For example, short sales and foreclosures probably won't have an impact on your listing presentation at this time. So here they have some premium options, and you can see examples. And then they have some time ferry pages available, and those are premium as well. But the keyword today is free. You can choose your themes, your layouts, different templates and fonts. So we'll take a look at this here. So basically, I have my report. I can delete, edit, or change some of these pages if I choose. And let's just see how this looks here. All right, and I have someone in the chat or in the questions, they asked us to do a CMA on one of their properties. So we're going to use that property next in our report. So with this report, I have an option. I can copy the PDF link, copy the slideshow. I can email this report. Let's say you have a listing appointment and you want to create a listing presentation report to send out to your client. You can simply just email it to him or her in advance. You can view this as a PDF here. Now, this is why it's important to have that property photo if you have it, because it's going to look a lot better on your cover page. Just simply a map, some information here. Make sure again that your profile is set up properly, because it's not always going to, the information doesn't automatically transfer from Realcomp. You're going to have to update some of your information in Cloud CMA. So based on the pages that we selected, this is what this report is going to look like, right? So this would be the part of your listing presentation where you're going over comps and you're explaining commissions and things of that nature. So you can add and delete any of these pages that you want. And there was other options as well. And again, there were quite a few free options available for you. So let's go back. Now let's say you're all fancy and everything and you want to use your laptop or your tablet and you don't want to spend the cost to pay for a printout 300 pages of color copies because you want to keep your office bill low. So let's say you have your laptop and you just want to do a slideshow presentation. So here's an option for you. You're sitting there with your clients, you pull out your laptop and you present it more as a slideshow type format. So again, that option is here. You would just click on view slideshow. You can also send that slideshow link to your clients. So this is a great way to present to your clients, and they'll see each property here. So all the same information that was in that previous report, except that it's a little, just a different format. This can be a little fancy, but it's more or less just based on the comparables and not so much all the other information as well. And you can edit that as well. I have no idea what Create Home Beat is, but let's click on it and see. I click on everything in Realcomp until I have to pay for something. So this is what HomeBeat is. So it just gives you some more data and information. If it says try for free 30-day trial, I'm probably not going to use it. I'm paying for enough gadgets and bells and whistles as it is. Feel free to try it yourself at your own expense. So right now, those are the basics of creating your presentation and CMA through Cloud CMA. Of course, there are quite a few options for you guys to use with that alone. They also have the buyer tour. So let's say you have a buyer and you're going to be showing that client several properties. Just put the information in there, MLS numbers. It's going to create a tour with some information about each neighborhood. It's pretty slick, so you can take a look at that when you get a chance. All right, so let's move on to our next. Now, this is the one I like. I really like this one, but the issue is I think it gives us a little bit too much information, and it can be overwhelming. And in this is the RPR. So RPR, for example, so let's see here. Someone said 19395 Denby, and that's Redford, right? Now, the good thing I like about this one is I like the design of it. The next best thing I like about it is it pulls, well, if there was no photo here of this property, it will actually give you the Google image. You know, when you use Google Maps and they show you the front of the property, this will actually pull that photo. So your presentation will already have some type of photo for the property. So this is RPR. What they're saying is they want you to, so you're going to build out a comp analysis for this property. First, they want you to change any information about the property that you know versus what's in PRD. Because, for example, here it has the public facts. This is information that was provided on PRD. As you can see that there's no bedroom count here. And under single family residential, they have the information that was from either the current MLS or previous MLS. What they want you to do is verify this information. So if there's any changes, let's just say it's two full bathrooms. I can just go in and save that, and that's how my report will generate. So everything will be based on that data. All right. So um, they have some other information. You can upload additional photos and things of that nature. So let's go here. We're going to go ahead and create this one here. Do not hit create report yet. So they're giving you two options. You have a comp analysis and you have a sales comparison analysis, right? And simply they're telling you what the difference is between the two. I don't want to watch this video again, but you're going to do a comparative market analysis is what I'm looking for this particular report. You're going to confirm your facts again. They just want to make sure that the data that you have on the property is accurate because they're relying on this information from public record as well as previous listing information or current listing information. So you want to make sure you go in and verify, and then you want to confirm that information here. Now, finding comps is pretty easy. So again, they're going to give you the option to add a known property as a comp. And then they're going to ask you the property type, if you want active, sold, pending. So you have your options here as the property status and property types that you're comping out. Here within the dates, you can default to within last 6 months, or you can simply put in a date range. Let's say you just want to go back 60 days or so. Here you're going to decide if you want your comps to be 2 to 3 bedrooms, 3 to 4 bedrooms, or just 3 and 3. So you don't want comps over 3 bedrooms, for example. Your square footage, your bathroom count, lot size, if it matters in that particular area, price range, price per square feet. You can actually leave this out. Depending on the area, I'll leave it out because I kind of want to see what comps come up first. And then a year built, typically I would leave this out depending on the area because, for example, in Redford, a house built in 1940 versus a home built in 1955 is not going to be that big of a difference for me to narrow it down. So I may just leave this blank altogether, or I may just say something like 1920, right? So it's like Cloud CMA, it's going to give you the option to add to comps list. So you're going to select the comps that you would like to utilize here. So let's just say I want to add, and I'm just adding these at random. So you would choose your comps based on sold, active, and pending, and you can see here. So they're saying based on the comps that I use, this is the price range, which is ridiculous. So either I have to do a better job at selecting comps, or I have to look at some more details about each property. Because, for example, it may have something to do with condition. So 137 being at the top end, assuming that 65,000 may have something to do with some of these frame homes here, or you have some homes that are somewhat distressed. But either way, let's just move forward with that. And I'm going to update the evaluation. Okay. Now, here you have a option to, if you could see that, you have an option to adjust the comps. Okay. So when you come here, the most important thing you want to do with your adjustments, they want to know how does this property compare to the subject. So let's say your subject property was completely updated, remodeled, new roof, new everything, and this property is somewhat dated. So this property can be worse, and if you see it, makes the adjustment. I'm going to show you when we use the Realcomp report, how to actually manually make those adjustments where you can put in your actual dollar figures. But let's just say, for example, you just say this property is worse, this property is better, this property is somewhat better or somewhat worse. what this is doing, if any of you guys have seen an appraisal, you would kind of relate to this and you're familiar with this pretty much. The only thing is, the disadvantage is you have this sliding scale. So it's like, you know, it's no way to really put in actual numbers here that I know of at least. So, but let's just say the property is the same or a little bit worse, your home is a little bit better, so on and so forth. And it's just gonna make the adjustments for you. So it's just saying a $63 adjustment. So let's just say, let's just go way off here and you can see the adjustment. And this is just based on these comps that we use. All right. So I have all my data here and I'm just going to hit create report. All right. Now it's giving me an option for a seller's report. And I can select or deselect any of these pages that I want. And this is quite a bit. This is more than what I would really take out to a listing presentation. This is probably some information you would give a buyer. This is your actual seller's report. This tells you everything. You can add different pages or you can not select certain pages. You don't have to use them all. A mini property report, property flyer, valuation workbook, market activity report. That's going to kind of limit you to just the comps and some of the details, neighborhood report and school report. So let's just say seller's report. And this just shows you a sample if you just like to look at a sample of what it is before you actually select an option. And go here. And you really want to select the option that's going to work best for you. And then you're just going to print it out. So, and this, again, is more detail. So this is the report I'm going to create. Again, they ask you to make sure you view your profile because once you print this out, whatever is here is going to show up. Like, I don't know why I have two fax numbers here, so I have to correct that. Hopefully no one is faxing me anytime soon. You can put in your client's information here with a little note and just hit run report. So it takes a minute for them to generate the report, and it just says this box will close and automatically in 5 seconds. You're going to get an alert here, and it's just telling you that one report is being requested. And once it's ready, you're going to get an alert that it's available and that it's ready. So you see here it says complete, yellow is pending, and the red is failed. Just like in school, some of us failed, some of us completed our course or whatever. I don't know why, just red looks traumatizing. So here, you just have to wait on it to generate a little bit. Let me refresh my screen. And it's still generating because that's quite a few pages. So you want to keep that in mind as well. So, and while we're waiting on that, let's move over to command. And we'll come back to the RPR report because I want to show you guys how that looks. So in command, if you are not familiar with this page, this is, you just come to your home page here. And if you scroll down, you'll see designs. You can click this icon at the bottom right. And you're going to click, what did I click before? I think I clicked social, I believe. No. Yeah, you're going to click print. Okay. And, oh, click print here, I'm sorry. So you're just going to go to listing, and then you have your listing presentation, and then you can select which one of these you want to use. So let's just use this one, for example. And this is pretty simple. And let's go back while this is loading up. So you see it says report has been successfully generated. This is back in my RPR. Now I have this report with all of these details. This is 43 pages. Again, you can make this longer or shorter if you like. So it's just so much data. This may actually overwhelm you and your client, especially with these charts and graphs. But keep in mind, you have clients, when we talk about a DIS assessment, you have your D, your I's, your S's, and your C's. Some of your clients are going to want to see this type of information. So why not have it available? Maybe you just have it on your laptop and you print out just the pages that you want to present, but you still have this report available on your laptop, saved either as a PDF in case you can't access the internet while you're on the listing presentation. So, and then some of this information is going to repeat some of the property data and things of that nature. Now, they do have additional pages in here you can add, but this is more or less information you're going to use just for the marketing part of it, as far as coming up with comparables and everything. And there are other pages you can add that will assist you in your listing presentation. All right, so let's move back to command. Now command here has some options here. This icon is just going to add a new page, and this is going to apply this page. So let's apply that page there. That's your cover page. If you don't know how to edit, it's pretty simple. You can just go on here and you can click on photos that you have. Maybe you have logos that you save in command that you've uploaded. You just go down here and click add to library. So if you just want to upload maybe like one of your team logos or something like that, and you would just add to library here, and you can add it to this cover. Maybe a photo of the property if you have it. So let's go back up to templates. So this is page 1, and then you're just going to click add page. So right now, I'm not using the command listing presentation, but there are some advantages of using it, because you can use like the market snap page that they have. That shows you the market snap based on the neighborhood that you're in, that your listing is in. So you can fill that out if you want. Then you have your comparable properties, and you can put in the data here. If you just want a short summary, you don't want all the extra bells and whistles like what we've seen in the RPR report. So maybe you just want to have, I clicked on the wrong page. So you just want to have just a short summary of each of the comparable properties, and you can add a couple of those pages. Maybe you got 4 listings, 4 sold, 4 actives. Just some more information. So all of these pages here on the left are your options that you have. Now this is explaining a little bit more in detail on what you're offering to the client. Here are like this, you're going to add your credentials or awards. So let's say you were the top selling agent in the Woolworth corridor or Ferndale, whatever the case may be. Then they have some other properties, maybe some properties that you sold in the area. So this is just simply a way for you to build out the presentation itself. This is not so much the CMA part of it, but there's quite a few pages here that you can add that's going to help you with your presentation. All right, let's go back here. And remember, there was the other option. I'm not saving that here. All right, so again, that's under listings, listing presentation, and you have those 2 options there. And they're telling you it's 27 pages there. All right, so let's go into building out a listing presentation just using Realcomp with my CMAs, right? So let's say you have a property. Let's say this property was listed before, and let's find that property on Denby. All right. So let's say this property on Denby 19395 Denby. All right. And I just want active properties, pending properties, and sold. And let's say I want to go back 180 days and I only want residential. I don't want any condos for this particular CMA. And I just want properties that are for sale. So I know that Denby is north of 7 miles, south of 8 miles. So to make sure I don't cross over into Southfield, I'm just going to type in Redford here just to make sure I'm only pulling Redford comps. I can also change the distance here, a quarter of a mile or a half mile. My other option is I can always come here under map. So I have Denby. I can just draw a map around the area that I want by clicking on this draw rectangle. But first I would have to delete this shape and draw a rectangle based on the area that I want. So let me show you while I'm here. So I have this option to do that. Or you can draw like a crazy shape here if you're like in some crazy area where it's not completely square and all that good stuff. So I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to go back and just do my half mile here. And sell. Let me see, I think that map kicked in on me. Okay, let me change this criteria again. It says 632, so I did something wrong when I drew the map. So this here. All right. All right, so I have my results here, and I'm just going to use these properties, for example. So let's say I go through and I just pick a few properties that are somewhat. So this is actually the subject. I'm going to show you guys how to add the subject property. But let's just say I pick a couple of these properties as comps. Right. I'm going to scroll down here. Once I picked all my comps, I'm just going to scroll down and click CMA. Then I'm going to create a contact, KW Metro Webinar, KW Agents at Juno.com. All right, try emailing to Juno if you want to. All right, so I have that information. Now here's where you build it out. So you're going to come here to pages. You have your cover page option. So you have your cover sheet or your cover sheet with agent photo. I'm going to select that. And the way you move it up, you just click on this. Brief summary of compared listings, 3-up comparison, price adjustments. Remember I mentioned that earlier. And we have price recommendations, CMA explanation, and map layout. And then you have other options here. So I'm going to use some, I use this one all the time, summary of comparable listings. And then you have your comparables. You have some other information you can add, days on a market chart. Let's see here, additional photos if you want. Then you have some other information here. So for example, this is something that's going to help you in the actual listing presentation. So you have my guarantee to you, activity versus timing. So this is someone that wants to list at a high price, maybe pitfalls of overpricing. So basically what you have here is you have some objection handling techniques that are already spelled out for you. So I'm just going to, where does the commission goes? That's a good one. Source of buyers. Steps to a positive showing, what it takes to show. So you can add all this good stuff in here. Importance of pricing, setting of pricing, benefits of using a realtor, say if you're presenting to a FISBO. And then last but not least, we already got the map layout in there. And then you can upload some custom pages here if you want. So if you have your own pages, so this is where when we were in the other platforms like Command and RPR, you can upload some of those pages into this report here just by saving them and uploading those pages into this report. So let's say we go here and I want to find my subject property. So you have two options. You can enter the subject information manually. So if you know all the information or enough information for you to build this out, so property style, number, address, and all that good stuff. Most important thing, square footage, if it has a basement or not. And I'm going to show you why that makes a lot of sense to include that. And again, it gives you the option to add a photo of the property. So now here, let me go back. I think I moved too quick. So we click on subject. So again, this is the manual option where you fill it in. Maybe you have a photo, you include that in here. And if the property address does not geocode or whatever they call it, you can always put in a location, property address, and it will locate it for you on the map. I'll also show you why that's important here shortly. But for now, we're going to go to subject. We're going to search for a residential listing to autofill this form. So if the listing was listed before, if the property was listed before, you can just simply type in the address and find a property, and you can use that property as your subject. Since this particular property is currently listed, I'm just going to fill the form with this particular property. And at the bottom here, it says fill from selected. So now you see the property information is here, all the data that I want. Now, if you picked an old listing, say this property was listed 10 years ago, for example, please do not keep in those same remarks because it may say something like bank owned, needs repairs, all that good stuff. Just leave this part blank for now. And then if you pick an old listing, also take out all the old dates and MLS numbers from when it was listed before. So for example, this property 10 years ago probably would have been listed at $40,000 with all type of remarks that do not apply to this property today. So then you look at your cover photo, you're just making sure your photo is right, your information is right, your contact information if you need to change it. If you want to upload a new property photo. Here's your comparables that we selected. And if you see the other property, I didn't select the subject property here. So these are the few comparables that we did select. And then this just shows you a map, the subject property, and it shows each comparable listing or active property. And now we have here the adjustments. So this is very important. So here, so let's say you want a, let's say your property is a 3-bedroom, great example. And let's say one of the comparables is 2 bedrooms. So the property, let's say a bedroom is probably worth $7,500 more. So I would just simply put in 7,500 there and 7,500 in this one. Well, actually you can just type it up here and it'll autofill those for you. Let's say a bathroom is $3,500. So I'm just using these an example, but we all know different areas. A bedroom may be worth $10,000 or $15,000 more. Depending on the price point, it may only be worth $3,000. It all depends on what you're comping. So you put that information there. There's no reason to put in a half bath. You can make adjustments of your own for style. So let's say the subject, let's say bungalows in this particular area are worth more than ranches. And if you know what that figure may be, then you can just type it in. And if you notice, as I'm typing this information, look to the left side here, you're going to see some of these figures change. All right. So let's scroll over, see what else is more important. So central air, let's say central air, the other properties have central air, the subject does not list central air. So let's say now the subject is worth $2,000 less, right? So remember in the RPR report, when we, Pete, I have no idea what the room is worth, but I just guessed it. Once you do enough comps or you've done a lot of business in the area, you can kind of guesstimate or look at the data to say, okay, the 3 bedrooms on average are selling for this, and the 2 bedrooms on average are selling for this amount. And you can kind of come up with a formula to determine what a bedroom is worth. In some areas, it's easier than others. But yeah, it just takes some research. But in this example, I just kind of estimated that just for example purposes only. So back to this, let's say the central air, so subject does not have central air and the comparables do. So the subject, I'm just saying $2,000, it's worth $2,000 less because central air. You can do the same for age. And garage, let's say the subject has a garage and one of the comparables do not. So what does it cost to build a garage? Maybe the age of the garage may have something to do with it. So let's just say, I don't know, $7,000 if it's worth a garage. So you start making your adjustments. And again, with the RPR, it only gave you an option to use that sliding scale. So you say worse or better. Here you can get a little bit more detail. Now I will say this, you want to be very careful with calculating these. You want to do some research. You don't just want to pull numbers out of the sky. You actually want to look at the data. This is more or less something that appraisers would normally do, but there are certain things that you know for a fact that will make a home worth more in that particular area. So a fireplace, I don't know, what would you give a fireplace? You know, and then like a basement, the other properties don't have a basement. So maybe the subject is worth 15,000 more or something like that, or 10,000 more. Oh, that's a lot more. That's a whole new house. All right. So basement type, if it's finished or not. And then garage size. So one asks if it was a garage, and then maybe you make an adjustment for the garage size. Square footage, let's say it's $75 a square foot. This is fairly easy to find. Once you run your comps and you do like a market report, it'll give you, like, you can find the average price per square foot, or just run through your comps and look at each one and see what the price per square foot was, and you average it out. And there's other formulas you can use to find a price per square foot. But this just seems this seems extremely high. But let's say it is $75 per square foot. Is that realistic for this area to adjust it by $71,000? Possibly, so this is just a way to build this out. And you can just scroll over there. Probably is not any adjustments you're going to do for taxes or anything like that. So then let's look at pricing. Here you have an option to, prior to seeing the property, you can make a suggested price range. So I may say 85,000 to 105. And that's based on me not seeing the property. When I get there, I may tell them your home is worth closer to 85. You always give people a range. It just depends on what the property looks like. Then you're simply going to click finish. You can see all the pages here. You have an option again to email this directly to your client, or you can just hit view CMA. I typically hit view CMA. Now this will auto save, and then you can hit save again if you went back and made changes. So if you don't like how the final product is, you can always go back here to pages, and you can delete some of the pages, or you can add some pages. It's up to you. Or you can just move some pages around, right? So here's the CMA with the cover sheet here. I love this particular page because it just shows a quick summary of the solds. If I had listings on here and pending, it would be in 3 different sections. It's going to give me the average. So remember, I estimated this price per square foot was $75, and it tells you here, based on the sales price of each property, it was actually like $79. Days on the market, average number of bedrooms. I don't know how you get 2.3 bedrooms, but it's all averages. Bathroom count, average square footage. So it's giving you some data in the summary of each. Low, so this is your comparable pricing here, average and high. And then this is your adjusted comparable price. So basically, this is what the data in the market is saying, and then this is after you made the adjustments for bedroom count and everything. If you see, this is such a huge range from 53, there's $100,000 gap between this. When you make the adjustments, it narrows it down, right? So remember, I gave a suggestion of 85 to 105. So I'm kind of right in there. Pat myself on the back for that one, I think. Just estimating that. So let's see here. So it has some more information. Some of this stuff is boring depending on what type of client you're dealing with. I don't print this chart out, but maybe you want to have it just in case you have that type of client. You can click the additional photos page. Now, I don't always print out the additional photos page for each comp, but I like to have it saved on my laptop or my tablet. The reason being is because if I simply show a client, so here's the subject property. So this is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,100 square feet. And here's a 3-bedroom, and it's twice the size. But let's just use this use an example. Let's say this property was 1,200 square feet, and this was the price of the property, right? The seller will have a hard time believing me when I tell them their property is only worth $89,000 or $105,000 with them seeing this data. But when you show them how the comparable properties look on the inside, then they can have a visual and actually see how their property compares to the other properties. The reason I don't print these photos out, because the photo quality is not always as great when you print them out. So it's best sometimes just to have it on your laptop so they can see it. So here's a bunch of other information here that you can use about timing and things of that nature that's going to help you present during your listing presentation. I use this a lot when we're talking about pricing. So we have the market value. This is where most of your buyers are going to be at market value or below. As you go up the pyramid, you're going to decrease the number of buyers that will potential buyers, keep that in mind, potential buyers for your home. And the lower you go, of course, the more the buyer pool increases at that point in time. So just some things on setting the price, just other information, the benefits of using a realtor, just some other information you would provide to them. Now here's the 3-up comparable. I like using this one as well because it shows the subject property and it shows it side by side with the photo. It also gives some remarks. So like this home says it was remodeled. So let's say I did not print out all the additional photos, but I printed this out and then remarks. And I would simply just highlight this, that this property was remodeled, this property was updated, kitchen and bath and things of that nature, so that the sellers can see that side by side. This is the CMA adjustment comparable side by side details. So what this does is it shows the adjustments. So this somewhat looks like what you would see like on the appraisal. So remember we put in for basement, yes, yes, no, and then we made the adjustment here. And then it's going to show each property, the price and the price after the adjustments. And then your subject adjusted price as compared to this property. Maybe too much detail for some of your clients or too much detail for you to sit there and present within, you know, a 30-minute or hour time frame. And a lot of times your clients don't want to see all of these details, but have it just in case. Always have more than enough. You don't have to print everything out. I repeat that, you don't have to print it out. Just download this on your laptop and take it with you. Again, the price recommendation, maybe you wait until you get to the listing and you're doing your presentation, you handwrite this in because you've had a chance to see the property and realize it wasn't as great as they said it was. And then again, the map here. So that's pretty much it for the Realcomp sheet. So we covered command, we covered the RPR, and we covered the cloud CMA. If anyone has any questions, you should see, I see Peter, some anonymous attendee, and ILZE, Elise or whatever. I can't make out the name there. But if you have any questions, we got a few minutes left here, about 8 minutes or so. If you have any questions, you can click on the questions box and we'll run through them. Or let's see if anyone is in the chat. All right, so no one's in the chat asks. So if there's any questions, just feel free to ask a few questions here, and then I'll respond to you the best I can. If we don't have any questions in the next like 2 or 3 minutes here, we're gonna go ahead and end this because I have dinner or something at home waiting on me. And let's see here. And that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to cover today. Also, again, when you guys log into Realcomp, just feel free to click on all this good stuff here. One of my favorites is down payment resource. Each agent, you have your own link here so that people can see what down payment programs they qualify for. MISTA is not the only one. So someone comes on here, you can market this link on your social media. They put in the address of a property they were interested in, or area, estimated sales price they're looking for. And it's going to give them, this is basically a squeeze page. It's going to give a landing page, rather. They're going to get a list of programs that are available in that county and city, because some cities have programs where they have down payment assistance. Up to some programs I've seen go up as far as 250,000. So again, MISTA is not the only program. The good thing about this is that they already have marketing materials for you. You don't have to do anything but fill in your information. So they already have social media images for Facebook ads. So they changed and limited the text for your Facebook ads, templates, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and then they have flyers that you can customize. So you just fill in that information there. And again, this is just the DPR down payment resource. So yeah, just feel free to click on any of those in your spare time and utilize them. And that's it. So if we don't have any questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I will send out a recording of this webinar so you can watch it again if you need to. And if you see me in the office, just ask me some questions. I don't mind showing you. Showing this again. Tiffany asked, will I post this later? Because she was having issues with her audio. Of course, I'll post it again. And let's see here. All right. All right. So I just want to thank everybody for attending this webinar. This is my first webinar here at the office. Actually, my first webinar that was live. So one thing I do want to mention, I'm currently testing Zoom to use it to promote and attract clients. So I'm starting to reach out to my clients and do more like question and answer sessions with some of our potential buyer leads that are coming in. So if they have questions on buying a home, so it's sort of like a home buyers seminar webinar online, but it's going to be live where I can create a PowerPoint presentation, present to them. And the same with my sellers, I'm doing that as well. It's just the tough part right now is getting it out to your database. Maybe I ran an ad a couple of times. I had a few people register and sign up. So I think Zoom and other platforms like Zoom are pretty good as well to connect with your clients. So if anybody out there really knows how to utilize Zoom, let me know. Let's sit down and talk because I want to master this thing and take it into another direction. And that's it. So thanks a lot for attending. If you have questions, just feel free to contact me in the future.